Hello, I'm Kelly Chickmaroff. I'm the Technical Product Manager of the ValvKeep Cloud suite of tools. Today I'm going to do a quick demonstration of the VK Mobile Spring 2022 release. VK Mobile is a companion application, phone application for the VKCloud product. VK Mobile allows you on your phone to view valves, view parts, view images live that are inside of your VK, as well as work offline. And in the offline mode you can do plant surveys, you can add valves, you can add images, which of course you can do when you're online as well. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to launch it, and you see I have the ability to log in or work in offline mode. So again, in offline mode, when I don't have internet, I can add valves, I can add plant surveys, I can add images. When I'm online, I can take a look at valves, I can take a look at parts, and I can take a look at images. Now that I've logged in, we land on our folder tab. Folder tab is typically for when you're working offline. The online portions of it are the pin board, the relief valves, control valves, motor operated valves, and line valves. The pin board is where in VKCloud you've pinned valves that you're interested in. Inside of your plant you may have hundreds if not thousands of valves, but you're not interested in all of them all the time. The pin board allows you to have a quick place where you can pin control valves or pin relief valves, and you can have a quick, like a thumb index to them, a quick way to find them. If you want to just take a look at your list of valves, and I'm going to work in relief valves, I could be in control valves or the other equipment types, but in relief valves, I'm now looking at the list of all the relief valves in my working plant. If I wanted to find a valve very quickly, I can very quickly type in a tag number or a serial number or even a partial tag number or serial number to come to that given valve. I'll go ahead and I'll clear it off and I'll go back to my list. How else can we find valves? Here in the ellipses, if I click it, I have the ability to apply filters. So I can filter and find to all of the valves that are actively being repaired in my service provider, my GTC or my marc. And that's through the repair percent complete being less than 100%, which means that it's actually current being worked on. I could also apply a date filter, so I can see valves that are over a given date range. I could even take a look at valves that are in a given turnaround. So here I'm going to drop down my list of turnarounds, and if I wanted to, I could filter to all the valves that are in an upcoming or even a past outage. So in this case I could find all the valves that I've got set up for my fall 2022 turnaround. So there's a few ways that I can filter valves, and there's also several easy ways to find valves. So once I've got a valve that I'm interested in looking at, what can I do? Remember, I'm on my phone and I'm online, so I could be anywhere. It could be any day, it could be any time of day. Let's say that I've got an issue with a valve. There's something going on with a valve in service and I want to really quickly take a look at that valve. Or let's say that I'm planning an upcoming repair to a valve. Or let's say that I just even want to find the bad actors. What can I do? Well, here we see I've got this PSV demo 1. If I go ahead and I click on it, we see a very quick summary of information about it. I can also see the number of parts associated with that specific event and all of the images associated with that event. And here they are again. If I go ahead and I click on the images, this is pretty straightforward. I can take a look at all of the images associated with that event. If I go and I take a look at the parts, what I'm looking at now is all the parts associated with that event. So here we see the base gasket, cap, disc, etc. If I wanted to take a look at only the parts that were replaced, I'll throw that switch. Here's all the parts that were replaced. If I wanted to take a look at all the parts that need to be replaced, I'll throw that switch. This allows you to take a look at a valve that's coming up for repair, or perhaps a valve that's misbehaving, if you will, inside of your facility. And now we can take a look at the parts that need to be ordered for an upcoming repair. I can also take a look at the parts over the entire life of the valve, so all events to the valve. And if I take a look at the parts replaced over the life of the valve, I can find my bad actors. So what I'm looking at here is, let's say there's 5 repairs. Let's say that I see the nozzle or the cage or something like this replaced 5 times out of 5 repairs. I know it's a bad actor. So there's all kinds of functions that I can do to the valves when I'm online, including adding images if I want. But what about working offline? What about when I'm offline and I want to add valves or images or even a plant survey? Well, I've gone into my folder mode. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the plus button and I'm going to add a folder. So in this case I'm going to call it a plant survey, and we'll come back to that in a moment and we'll flesh that out in a little bit more detail. I'm going to add a second folder, and in this case I'm going to call it a relief valve. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a third folder, which I'm going to call my control valve images. So what can I do now that I've got all of these folders added? Well, let's take a look first at this relief valve. So here's the idea, is I'm going to add some images and I'm going to add some information about the valve. So this is like I'm adding a valve while I'm offline. I can also be online and do this. So this is both online and offline functionality. If I go ahead in my relief valve and I go ahead and I click my add data, it now drops me into my data mode. So I'll give it a tag number. Remember, the folder name is not the actual tag number, it's the folder name. I can give it unit information, I can give it a serial number. There's drop down menus associated here. For example, on manufacturer, I've got a drop down menu. I can go ahead and I can pick from the menu, and these menus are extensible, of course. Model number, service, the code stamp, the unit of measure for the pressure and capacity and temperature and whatnot. I've got the ability to do the configuration information, the orifice designation, the area, the inlet size rating facing, outlet size rating facing. And lastly, of course, I've got the information about the nameplates, right? Because I've got this valve, I'm doing a survey of it, or I'm going to be doing a repair to it, and I'm adding it to my VK. So what do? I look at the valve, I see all the nameplates. Here I can fill in all the information, the set pressure, the back pressure, etc. And of course I can add a comment to it. So now I've got my valve, and I've added my valve. It asks if I want to add images to this valve. So I'll say sure, let's go ahead and let's add some images. So I'll go ahead and I'll add image, and I can do it from the camera or from the gallery from the phone. So I could have previously taken pictures if I want, and I can add them. So here we go. Here's my tank vent. So I'm taking a picture of it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the image. Now, if I was doing a plant survey, this may be the nameplate. This may be an installation of the valve. It may be anything of that nature. So there's my associated image, and I'll go ahead and I will save that valve, right? And so now I've got myself my folder with PSV 100. I've got one valve added to it, and we know that there's an image added to it. What about if I wanted to add just some images, right? So here I've got my CV1 images, and so I'm doing a repair of this valve, right? So I'm doing a repair of this control valve, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some images. And again, I could add it from the camera's gallery, but I'm going to add it from the camera live, and there's the image that I'm adding live. So I'll go ahead and I will take the picture of it, and now that image is added. And now I can go ahead and I can add another image, and I can keep on doing this. So this allows you to very quickly and very easily add images to valves inside of VK, whether you are online or offline. Once I've got the image, I can go ahead and click on it, and I can put some comments in about it. I can say what the image is for, right? So this is, the as received, etc., etc. So I can go ahead and I can finish fleshing out all the details about the image. What about the last thing that I was working? What about this plant survey? Well, here I'll go ahead and I'll add data, and I'll go ahead and I'll start adding my valve. So imagine I'm just walking through the plant and I'm doing my plant survey. So I'm doing my valve, and I've got all of that information, serial number, manufacturer, model, all the nameplate data, all the configuration data, etc. Again, I've got the ability to add images, right? So I can take a picture of the nameplate or a picture of it as it's installed, and I can just keep on adding valves. So I click on the data button again, and I'm going to add yet another valve, right? So I go ahead and I can just add multiple valve after multiple valve after multiple valve, including images. So as I'm walking through my plant, I can go ahead and I can add as many valves as I want, right? So I'm doing my valve survey. Here I'm going to click on my valves tab. You see all the valves that I've added. I can go ahead and I can click on a valve and I can finish fleshing it out. So while I'm actually walking through and I'm doing my survey, I can just add my valves as I see them, and maybe a little bit of nameplate data and maybe some images, and I can later on even go ahead and I can update all of the information that I have. Now that I've got all of this data added, the next time I'm connected to the internet, I'm in my VK Live, I can go ahead and I can upload all of these valves, all of these images, all these plant surveys as I want. And again, when I'm online, I have the ability to look at my pin board, my relief valves, my control valves, electric actuators, and my line valves. So what else can I do here? Well, we took a look at the filtering, right? We can filter by turnaround. We can filter by date range. We can take a look at the parts. We can find bad actors by parts. There's a few other things that I can do, but I think for now I'm going to close this demo out. I do have other videos that walk through the technical aspects of adding all these things. Thank you very much. Goodbye.